Good evening and welcome to the Mayoral Candidate Forum for the Hartland Municipal Elections 2021. This forum is being presented by the Central Carleton Chamber of Commerce and community members. We're thankful for the use of the public space and technical equipment here at Town Hall to make this video possible. Public viewing of the videos will be made available after the Councillor Candidates Forum tomorrow morning. The candidates are aware of the rules of debate and COVID restrictions apply. Before the meeting, a random choice was made to decide who will be the first speaker. Tonight's moderator is Wendy Marr, timekeeper is Tina Pelkey, and video recording is Morgan Buchanan. The mayoral candidates are the incumbent Mayor Darren Foster and Deputy Mayor Tracy DeMerchant.
Good evening, Tracy and Darren.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Tracy, I'd like you to introduce yourself. You have 1 minute in which to do so.
Okay, should I direct that camera over there? Okay.
Yes.
So the first thing I want to say is that someone told me tonight to speak as if I'm speaking to Hartland. So that is my goal this evening. So for those of you who don't know me, my name is Tracy DeMerchant. I have lived in Hartland or the surrounding areas for all of my life, really. Been married almost 33 years. I have 2 children and one beautiful Isabella granddaughter. And I've served on Hartland Town Council for 9 years now, 5 of which have been as deputy mayor. So I'm looking forward to this evening. I hope that you learn more about me, and let's get this going.
Very nice.
Okay, and Darren, I'd like you to introduce yourself now.
Okay. First of all, I would like to thank you for the opportunity to be speaking here to the fine people of Hartland this evening. Thank you to you, the moderator, and Tina, for you, the timekeeper. Mr. Hutton, for your technological capabilities. Morgan, for your filming. And Lillian, for your always thoughtful recommendations on how to do things. So thanks, everybody. As Wendy said, I'm Darren Foster. I've been mayor of Hartland for the last 3 years. It was supposed to have been a 2-year term, but with COVID, of course, all terms were extended, and I've had the blessing of continuing to be your mayor for the last year. So I'm looking forward to carrying it forward for another 4 years. I've lived in town for about 5 years, and I have a wife, Stephanie, 2 beautiful children, Thomas and Olivia, and I look forward to the opportunity to debate with my esteemed friend here this evening, Tracy. Thanks, Hartland.
Nice words, thanks.
And now
Thank
for
you.
our first question of the evening. And Darren won the coin toss and asked that Tracy do answer the first question. So here we go.
Here we go.
Here we go.
What do you believe is your role as mayor functioning in council meetings? And what is more important, acting in response to the will of the people, or acting in a way that town council believes to be the best course of action?
Okay, so I believe as mayor, the most important role is to represent well, regardless of what comes to the table. I believe that as mayor, you are a representative, a spokesperson for the town. You serve with council because nothing in council is done unilaterally. You do it as a group. No one makes any decisions on their own. Could you repeat the second part of the question, please?
Sure. What is more important, acting in response to the will of the people, or acting in a way that town council believes to be the best course of action?
I would like to think that those things could go hand in hand. Our goal as council has been, at least in the time that I've served, has been to represent and make decisions for the best of the town. Not to make ourselves look good, because we don't do that for that reason. I believe, again, that those things go hand in hand. I don't think you can have a separation of those two things.
Thank you, Tracy. And Darren, I will repeat the question.
Okay.
What do you believe is your role as mayor functioning in council meetings? And what is more important, acting in response to the will of the people or acting in a way that town council believes to be the best course of action?
Thank you for that question. So first part, I believe the role of mayor at council is to keep the meeting moving forward. I think the mayor needs to stay in control and move it forward in a fashion that allows business to be completed, discussions to be had, but also to move it forward to the end result, which is, moving forward with the evening. Now, that said, it's a balance between working with council, because I feel my mayoral role is for the town people, the people of Hartland. That's who I work for. That's who elects all of us. And nothing does get done, like Tracy said, without collaboration and cooperation. So first, it's about building relationships, and it's about maintaining those relationships and keeping it on the track to allow business to be conducted and get done, whether it gets voted in or whether it gets voted out. But you need that balance for both. So I work for the townspeople, but I also work with council and town administration to make things happen. So if elected, of course, I would pledge to work with the new iteration of council as it will be, and also continue the work for the fine people of Hartland. Thank you.
Now you each have 30 seconds for a follow-up or rebuttal if you wish to do so.
Okay.
And thanks, I'm good as well.
Okay,
Appreciate that.
that's great. So moving right along, Darren, the second question you will answer first.
Okay.
The new town council will, for the most part, be made up of new members. How will you lead them in ensuring they are a well-informed and cohesive group?
It's always tricky when you meet with new personalities. Thankfully, we've got the luxury of knowing most everybody that's tossing their hat in for consideration. So some we have previous relationships with, and others will need to forge new relationships with. So that's essentially what it's all about, is leaving yourself as mayor, myself as mayor, open to conversations and also to new ideas as they filter in from these new voices. And I look forward to speaking with all of those new voices and finding out what it is for their vision, and sharing my vision as well, and working together to make Hartland better than it is right now. And that's the end goal for all of us, I believe. So thank you. That's what I would pledge to work with new council. And maybe some old members as well. Yeah, we don't know.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Tracy, I will repeat that question.
Thank you.
The new town council will, for the most part, be made up of new members. How will you lead them in ensuring they are a well-informed and cohesive group?
First of all, I'd want to welcome them, because it's a whole new experience serving on a council like this for a municipality and for your friends and your neighbors. One of the best options, I think, and I do believe that our CAO is planning this, will be to provide them the Municipalities Act, give them information that will help them to understand their role. It really is most important to know what your role is on council, so you can serve the very best way you can. I lost my other thought, it just went just like that. Municipalities Act, and there was one other, there's always the option too, of lending your experience. 9 years serving on council gives you lots of experience. I've learned more than I probably wanted to know serving on council, and I think that is that's part of the duty. You learn more history than you knew before. You learn more about personalities. You learn about the strengths of the people in your community. I look forward to a new council and serving with a new council and learning those things together and bringing opportunities to this town.
Thank you. You each have 30 seconds once again for any rebuttal or follow-up if you would like to take that.
I'd take a little follow-up if I may, and you're totally right. When I first approached you about running for mayor back in 2018, you were so gracious, you were so kind and shared your knowledge with me, but even still, it doesn't leave you prepared for what it is you're going to be facing. And really, the last 3 years have been a superb learning curve for me and my mayoral duties. So I'm looking forward to another term so that I may prove to everybody how it is to work for the people of Hartland. Thank you.
Anything to add, Tracy?
No, I'm good.
Okay, that's great. Okay, moving on to question 3, and Tracy, you will go first this time again. Like all municipalities, Hartland has a number of social issues. For example, poverty, homelessness, and substance abuse. How would you address these problems to help our most vulnerable residents?
This is something that I've been trying to sink my teeth into a little bit more. Lately, I've had the opportunity to sit on the steering committee through Horizon Health, and it's given me an opportunity to work with people who have an even greater vision for this than I do. I believe with everything COVID that has happened, it's deepened our troubles with mental health and with drug abuse and with the other social issues that we face, homelessness and affordable housing and all of these other things. I look forward to serving with the council, and I have met with some potential candidates, and they have the same kind of passion. I look forward to working with a council who wants to serve their community in addressing the social issues that we have. Without tapping into other resources, I couldn't give a complete detailed plan for those sorts of things, but it's something that I really have a passion for, opening up our community as an inclusive community. I think that is incredibly important as well. So looking forward to that challenge and to developing groups to work toward that.
Thank you. And Darren, I will ask the question again.
Thank you.
Like all municipalities, Hartland has a number of social issues. For example, poverty, homelessness, and substance abuse. How would you address these problems to help our most vulnerable residents?
It's a great question, and I think everybody would agree that most of us are 1-2 paychecks away from being in those exact shoes, helpless and homeless. And back when COVID started, myself and our CAO, Dave Hutton, we took advantage of, we took the opportunity to order a whole bunch of food supplies because nobody knew what was going to be happening in this community. So we wanted to be prepared in case people needed food. So from that became Hartland Helpers, which Hartland Helpers looks after food insecurity in our region, and not just for Hartland, but for all the communities surrounding us. So as such, we now serve 32 families. We're looking at renting a full-time room furnished with a little kitchenette so that people, if they are down on their luck, whether it be somebody homeless, lost their job, a battered spouse, somebody that needs trouble. We've given gas cards to folks to make it to their medical appointments. And like I say, once a month we deliver food to 32 different families. I've reached out to the fine folks at McCain's and have had a whole slug of frozen, delicious potato product donated, as much as we want, as often as we want, and I can't thank them enough. But this program is only going to grow, and it will be a great benefit to those in town that may need it. And there's going to be more for sure, because as Tracy said, COVID, the tsunami of mental illness, the tsunami of suicide and despair and isolation and loneliness is just starting to come right now. It'll be more important than ever in our future. Thank you.
Thank you. We have 30 seconds for rebuttal or follow-up if either of you choose to do
I
so.
do have something to say this time. Surprise! I just wanted to mention, well, Darren said he reached out to McCain. We can't forget our local businesses who also have contributed to those.
Absolutely.
So very thankful for our local grocery stores and all of our businesses who have contributed to that. So thank you to them.
That's a great point. If I may just have a quick follow-up with that is, as Tracy said, our local businesses, both grocery stores, also Day and Ross has donated a considerable amount of money to allow this to continue forward, and we suspect the same will happen annually, which is great. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Moving on to question 4. And Darren, you will start this one off.
Sure.
This is much shorter than the others,
Can I do it in a southern accent?
if you want.
Like it, man.
I want to hear this.
You got it.
Where do you see Hartland in 2 years' time under your leadership?
Geographically or philosophically?
Whichever you would rather.
Geographically, right here. Possibly with a, listen, part of what I'd like to do over the next 4 years is to discuss joining forces with our surrounding communities. I think as a bigger, larger group, we would have a greater say in where our tax dollars go. We would have a greater voice to the federal and provincial governments. And I think that it just seems to make sense. Hartland is only as big as our town limits allow us to be. So it would seem to make sense to join forces with, for example, Somerville. And I would like to see that on our 4-year plan, were I elected again to talk about joining forces with our LSDs to make greater things happen and have greater infrastructure and have greater say on what our tax dollars are spent on. But 2 years, I think we can do a lot of things. We've got the Beckett-Wimmick trails that are growing. We've got a great volunteer group. We have a fabulous community of people that want to help. They just need to be pointed in different directions. So I think carry on with the great momentum that we've built over the last 3 years and just keep on keeping on. Thank you.
Thank you. And Tracy, I'll direct the question to you.
Thank you.
Where do you see Hartland in 2 years' time under your leadership?
I see Hartland stronger. I see it deeper. I see it wider in all different ways. I would like to think, and again, another one of those things that's really tugging at me is building a more inclusive Hartland, where we are a more welcoming community to maybe faces and people and lifestyles that we're not used to. I see us, again, stronger, friendlier, where we have more to offer, because we do have an interest in revitalizing our tourism. That again will bring more people here, and I like to think that when people come to visit, maybe they'll think that this is a place they'd like to stay. So that's my vision, that's my goal, that's my hope, that we are a deeper, stronger, wider, bigger community.
Thank you.
That's excellent. And if I may take a moment to just respond, I think you're exactly right. Immigration and people moving to this region, whether from other countries or other provinces, is going to happen, and we need to be ready to meet those challenges with new housing, new development. With these new folks will come new ideas for new businesses, and we're poised and ready. We've already developed some incentive plans that are available for those that do want to develop residential, and we can look at something for commercial as well. So Hartland is open for business, and we're open for new housing. Thank you.
Do you have anything to add, Tracy? You have 30 seconds if you'd like.
Another 30 seconds. Yay. Again, growing in population also means growing business, all of those things. So again, bigger, stronger, better. I look forward to it.
Thank you. And for the final question of the evening, it goes to Tracy first. What efforts do you propose to curb such criminal activity as vandalism, property damage, and the illegal use of ATVs on town streets and on private property?
I know this conversation will ultimately get back to the RCMP and what we perceive as their lack of presence. I do believe, having sat in on meetings with the RCMP, that they are doing what they are able to do with the staff they have to cover such a large area. I also know that there is a huge want for a police force like we used to have before. With our current boundaries, financially that just is not possible. It just can't happen. We are in talks and communication with other communities about working together to have patrol in our area, but it's just in the talking stage. But everyone has the same concern. We all want a safe community to live in, to raise our children in, to be able to welcome people in to a safe community. We all want that. That will be addressed. It is being addressed, and I'm hoping within the next, not too distant future, we will have an answer for that. We will have greater presence of one sort or another. So that is, I know it's a real concern, and it does need to be addressed, and it is being addressed.
Thank you. And Darren, I'll repeat that question.
Sure.
What efforts do you propose to curb such criminal activity as vandalism, property damage, and the illegal use of ATVs on town streets and on private property?
It's a great question, and as Tracy said, it's a huge topic of discussion. Whenever I meet folks, it's all about the ATVs and the noise and the squealing and the late night rascaling. When I came to office in 2018, I reached out to the youth of our community, and I promised them a barbecue at the mayor's house at the end of the summer if the squealing and the littering and the general shenanigans that were taking place downtown stopped or were curbed. And the youth stepped up. They didn't squeal. They did have a greater respect for our community. And I think building upon those relationships is key to exactly what we're looking for, working hand in hand with the RCMP at this sort of level to not give a stick to the youth, but a carrot, and say, this is part of your community. You have the ability to make changes for positivity. On that, we had somebody vandalize the bridge with spray paint. I reached out over where everybody reaches out, is Facebook, and that individual came forward and fessed up to vandalizing on the bridge. He and I met on the bridge and painted over his vandalism. Little instances like that go an awful long ways, because he would go back to his people and say, you know what, they never called the cops. They worked with me and gave me a solid shake. So I think that's the sort of relationships that we need to forge. And I think working with the RCMP, we can accomplish that, and working with our citizenry as well. Moms and dads, they don't want their kids to be jerks out on the trail either. So I'll continue along those veins. Thank you.
Okay, and now you each have 30 seconds for rebuttal or follow-up if you'd like.
I will say this, whether it's speeding down Main Street, and I live on Main Street, so I hear it, see it, feel the fear of some of the things I see. Ultimately, it all comes down to respect. It comes down to respect for you, for yourself, your community, but mostly for yourself. Behave in a way where you can be proud, where your family is proud, where your community can be proud.
Darren, you also have a chance for follow-up on that.
Yeah, thanks, I'm good on that one, Wendy, appreciate
Okay.
it.
All right. So now we will wrap things up with 2 minutes for closing remarks. And since Tracy went first for the introductions, Darren, you will go first for the closing remarks.
Sure. Thank you very much. And again, it's been an enjoyable evening thus far.
That's, uh-oh.
No,
It's gonna
all
hit the
good.
fan.
All good. Listen, ladies and gentlemen and kids of all ages, I ask humbly for your support for the next 4 years and in this upcoming election. I believe it's an important election, and I believe it's important to have continuity. I believe there may be some questions out there about certain actions that I've taken. I've flip-flopped, I've changed my mind, but I look at changing one's mind as a mark of thoughtfulness, as a mark of reconsidering a position and being able to hear different sides of the same argument. So, if elected, I pledge to, again, look at all sides of different things and to work with council and to work with administration to make things happen. It's been truly my life's great pleasure to be your mayor. I've seen you at parades and dances and lunch counters and festivals and food trucks. And we've all had some laughs, and we've shared smiles, we've shared smokes, we've shared drinks. It's been a beautiful 3 years, and I'd like to continue that momentum, and I would feel that switching horses in the middle of the stream might slow the momentum, but at the same time, my opponent is a lovely, thoughtful person herself. So you can't make a bad choice for Mayor of Hartland, but I want it to be me. Thank you very much.
I guess it's my turn then.
Yes, it is, Tracy.
Well, thanks, Darren.
Very well.
So for me, it's been 9 years of serving on council. Again, 5 of those as deputy mayor. So, changing up the continuity too much. Still be a familiar face here in town. There have been rough days, there have been some tough decisions, and there's been a lot of reward as well. I want to say that working in retail service for the last 23 plus years, which hardly seems possible, most of those years in Hartland, it's been a pleasure to see familiar faces, to hear stories and concerns, complaints. I hear those too, lots of them. But it's worthwhile. It's been very, very rewarding to me personally. We're experiencing a lot of growth, we're experiencing change. Serving Hartland isn't and shouldn't be for your own personal glory. Trust me, sometimes you're very unpopular, and it's not for glory and it's not for the money. It's not for any one person or any one project. I'm running for mayor because I want to serve Hartland. This is for Hartland. It isn't for any other reason. I just want to serve Hartland. So, if you should find it in your hearts to grant me your confidence, I would gladly accept your vote on May 10th. Thank you.
Thank you both. This has been very enjoyable, and I think that the people of Hartland will have a tough decision.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
See
Thank
you
you
at the
all.
polls.